Welcome to Make It Now with Linda Lang. Take a look at these. What do you think? I'll tell you what, I like doing things quickly, and I can make this whole set in an evening. Oh yeah, Make It Now with Linda Lang. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to make these lovely hand gloves with the little flower on each one. Has the fingers open. I like them. They're perfect for winter. And of course, the headband goes and fits any head. What do you think? You're gonna like these? Okay, well, it takes one skein of yarn. And so I'm gonna make one with this. I'm gonna make a set with you with this, okay? So let's get started. So what we need to do is get our tools together. A skein of yarn, a yarn needle, it's plastic, and a hook. I don't even know what size this is. Cannot tell. Let me see. This is my favorite hook. It just fits all of my yarn that I use. It is a 6/6, I believe. So that's what this is. I like these. And then, of course, a pair of scissors. What I'm going to do is get you started because I am not going to do this whole thing with you. I'm going to get you started, and then when we get to the point where it changes, then I will pipe back in. But what you do first is you make a little loop. We're going to start with the headband, okay? So you take your finger, make a loop, and you just do a slip knot. If you already know how to do crochet, awesome. If you don't, this is for you. And even those that are experienced, this is for you. So then all you're going to do is chain 15. See, I like my band wide. You can do a thin band. You can do a skinny one. I like them wide. They go across your whole head. What you're going to do is you're going to make a loop to get this started. And you bring that piece of thread through to make a slip knot. And you stick your needle in the slip knot. Tie this, pull this one tight, and it tightens it. Now, you don't want to have a real tight chain, so just do it loosely. Don't pull it so tight, okay? Just want to make it loose. And we're going to do 14 single chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now what we want to do is we're just going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And you keep seeing what size you have. And you kind of, as you get long, you put it around your head to see if that's how long you want it. And then you keep doing more until you get the right size. Do not want to tighten them. You want to keep it kind of loose. So you can almost see a little bit of light through them. Because we're going to have to go back through. Now, what you do is you hold the end and you grab it and make one little thread onto the hook. You just do one little single loop onto the hook, and then you go into the first hole, pull the thread through, and then through both. Don't put any thread on it. Just go back into the next hole with the hook, pull the thread through, and then through the two. Put the hook in the next hole, pull the thread through, and pull it through the two. Pull it, put it through the next hole, pull it through, and pull it through two. Put it in the next hole, pull it through two, and I do this all the way to the end. Okay, so what we have is 2 rows. First chain and then the second row, okay? Now, to go back, you just simply do one loop and turn it around and then turn it over. Get this yarn out of my way. And you have one little extra loop there, and then you go into the first hole. Now, here's the thing. This is the first hole, but you want to go into this next one because this one's already used from this one little loop we just did, okay? So then you go into the next hole, bring it through, and through the two. Go into the next hole, bring it up, bring it through the 2. Go into the next hole, bring it through, next 2. Through the hole, through 2. How do you like that rhyming? Hole, through, 2. Hole, through, 2. Now I'm going to do this all the way to the end. And I will turn it. And then I will do the rest off camera. And when I come back, it'll be right before I'm ending my headband. Well, I am back and I am down to the last row. And let me finish the last row with you. So I turn it, I take, and I make 1 loop. I go into the first hole and I go back and pull it through. First hole, go back and pull it through. First hole, pull the string through and through the 2. Through the hole, bring it through the hole, bring it through. And now, after a while, you just start going fast like that. All right, so when we're at the end, it's very simple. Get to the end. And 1 more. All right, so now we just kind of pull that out, take your needle out, leave a tail of thread, and cut it. Now what you're going to do is you are going to thread the end of this with the needle that's for thread. Okay, and you loop it and tie it. Pull it tight. Now what you do is you take whichever side you like the best for your outside. I like this side for my outside, so I'm going to turn it this way, and I'm going to pull this together like this. Okay? Then you take the thread at the bottom, okay, whatever side this is on, and you put this end to this end. You just lapse it like not even much, just a tiny bit, so that you can grab it and sew through, and you make a nice loop there. And now you simply go back and forth like you're sewing this together. And I like to go over the edge and back through, go in the back, go over the edge and back through, go back over the edge and back through. And I'll finish this up. And we're just putting these together. The edge and back through all the way to the end. Make sure there's not this, okay? You need to make sure it connects really well and it cinches together, okay? And then I'm going to do a little tie loop at the end so that it's nice and tight. You can't even tell there's a seam there. But now what you do is you take the rest of your yarn and you do like a basting stitch all the way through like this and pull it. So it makes a little bit of a gathering here, just about this much, maybe about a 2-inch gather, and then put that on the end so that you do a nice, tie off again and a tie off. And then you take the rest of this thread and you just kind of weave it back through because you don't want to have any raw edges. Let it go out of the needle. You'll see it stuck out on this end and you simply cut it off. So there is absolutely no threads at all. This is how you make the top. This took me an hour to crochet watching a TV show. Okay, so that is this part. The next part is to make this flower. Okay, we want to make this flower. We want to put it right here. So I'm going to get you started. This gets a little bit more trickier, but it's a lot of fun to make. You again make a loop, do a slip knot like you did before to get it started. Put your crochet needle in here, crochet hook. And now what you're going to do is you're going to do single crochet 60 times. Write it down, 60 times. So you do 1, 2, and I'll speed this up. Now here's where it gets interesting and fun to do actually. So you're going to hold it on the end and grab it a couple of times, 2 times and 3 times. You're going to make a nice little loop. So you go over, pull it in and pull it through. So you make a nice little circle, okay? Then you go 1, 2, 3. Go back in where you were before, the very first one. Go back in with just a single pull. So you've got another loop. Now you take this needle and you count 1, 2, 3, and you put your needle in the hole on that chain, pull it through, and you pull it through both. Okay, then you do 3. 1, 2, 3. Go back in the same hole you started it, bring it through, and bring it through both. And then you count 1, 2, 3, put your needle in there, bring it up, and back through. And then you do 1, 2, 3, and then go back in that same hole and bring it on through. You count 1, 2, 3, put it in the hook in the chain and bring it through. You go 1, 2, 3, go back in the same hole, and you're not just bringing it back through, you're letting it be double here, and then you bring it back through, so it's a double chain. And then you count 1, 2, 3, go into the third, bring it back, and bring it back through the 2. Then you do 1, 2, 3, go back in the same hole and bring it on through. And then you count 1, 2, 3, bring it in here and back through the 2. And then you do 1, 2, 3. So here's what you're doing. You are putting 3 chains on top and 3 chains on the bottom. That's all you're doing. So you've got 3 chains on the top and you go back in the same hole. And then you have 3 chains on the bottom, 1, 2, 3, and go back in the third hole, the third chain. Bring that thread through and back through the 2. So here's what it looks like. Okay, you've got a chain up here, you got a chain down here, you got a chain up here, you got a chain down here, you got a chain up here, you got a chain down here. You see it opens up like this, right? That's what it's supposed to look like when you're done. I am going to go all the way to the end, and when I am finished, I will be back. Okay, now we're at the end, and I have chained 3. I have just a little bit left, so I'm going to go into that last bit and pull it through. So you've got this chain that looks kind of a ripply effect. This is how you make your flower. Now what you do is you turn it around so that now you're going to go back this direction. And all you're going to do, and this is the easiest part, is you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to wrap it, go back in that first hole, pull it through the first 2, and then pull it through the last 2. Wrap it, go back in the same hole, pull it through the first 2, and put it through the next 2. Then you chain again, put it in the hole, pull it through the first two and then the next two. And you're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to do 5. Put it through here, loop it through, back through that one, and then back in here. You see what I've done? I have made, I think they're triple crochets. Don't ask me if they are, I just do it by ear. And now when I'm done with that, see in the next, that little spot that we did, that little teeny hole, now you simply take your hook and go into this hole, and you're just going to do a little slip knot. So what that does is that gives you a petal. Here's your petal. Now you go again, 1, 2, put it around your hook, go back into the next big hole, pull it through the first 2, and then fold it through the second 2. Put it around the hook, go back in the hole, pull it through the first 2, and then pull it through the second 2. And you got 2 now. Put it around the hook, go back in the hole, pull it through the 2, and the next 2. And now we have 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do 5. And this is 5. Okay, now this is going to be the center of my rows. So then I just simply take my hook, go back into the next little hole, and pull it through and make a slip knot. So now see how I'm making little petals? Deep, deep. Go ahead, 1, 2 again. This time we're going to do 8. So the first 2 you do 5, now you're going to do 8. So then you wrap it around, go into the hole, and we're going to do this 8 times in here. This is 2, 3, 4, 5. And you squish it over to make room. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, once you get, let me get that in there. Okay, once you get that 8th one done, you want to go back into that next little hole. Just slip knot it. Just a little slip knot. It goes like that. Brings that petal into completion. Then you do another 1, 2. Put it around your hook again. Put it into the next big hole. And do it 8 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now, I want to show you something. You see this little string that I got in the middle here a little bit? You can see, I go, ooh, look at that. Don't worry about it. You're not going to even see when it's done. All you want to make sure is that you put all of those into the one hole. That's 8. Then you take your needle, go into the next hole, go in, pull it through, and do a slip knot. And that makes your next little flower petal. They're going to kind of wind around. That's okay if they go curly. So I'm going to finish this off, and I'll be right back. So you notice that this is kind of spiraling now. It just keeps on spiraling. And I'm at the very end. And I've done 8. And I just want to finish it off. And I'm going to use this last hole if you've got one. Sometimes you don't. It's okay. Just stick it in there, pull it through, and you make your slip knot. Now I'm going to leave a nice tail of thread on this. This is the tail I'm going to use to finish off my flower and tie it to my headband. Okay, so I have this loop. Be careful not to pull the loop out. Take your finger and then just pull it through, the string through, to make a slip knot and tie it off. So now it's nice and tight. Then you take this in, and it's got the little tail on it. I don't know, I like to just kind of cut them off close, not too far, but just cut it close. And then all you do is you just start wrapping. You just do this. Let the curl, right? Look at that. Look at this flower. That's it. So then you take the end of this yarn and put it through your yarn needle. Okay? And I'm going to just simply tack this flower. So I go back up through the middle. I just want to make sure that it's nice and, you know, doesn't fall apart in my hands. And so there, it's just very nice. I mean, things are loose, but that's okay. Then you take your headband on this part that's gathered and you set this on top of it. Your yarn is underneath, and you push it through the headband. Whoopsie, look what I did. It happens, you guys. I didn't give myself enough allowance at the end and it slipped out of the needle, but thank goodness this is a big fat eye. So then you pull your thing back through. Okay, so then you go back from the back, come up through the front, and then just grab a little bit of the flower, go back down, come back up, and about, you know, maybe in this area, go back up, catch the flower, go back down, and you're just going to kind of feel around and make sure the flower is secure on the headband. And I do a little bit around the edge because sometimes the outside likes to act up. So I pull it in the middle and I grab a little bit of that. And, you know, you just kind of play it by ear. Be creative, grab a little bit, push it back through. What you're doing is you're just simply securing this flower on top of this headband. Don't worry about the underside. Nobody's going to see it and you're not going to feel it. Okay. Now what I do when I'm done, when I think I'm very satisfied with the way that is, I go to the inside and I put my needle through it because we're going to tie it off, and you grab the loop and you pull. Okay, and you do it again so that it's nice and secure. And then you take this needle and you just weave it somewhere into the body of the headband in the back and then clip. So now you have this flower on top of your headband. Okay, so I have these pearls and I got these off of an old necklace. See, this is the old string that went to it. See, they're still kind of strung on here. It's an old necklace that I found at a thrift store. It had different kinds of sizes of these pearls. So I'm going to use a regular medium-sized pearl. I'm just going to set it there. Now that looks like it fits perfectly nice right there, doesn't it? So I'm going to put it right there, and you simply sew it on with a needle and thread. So then I thread my needle. And I like to double this so that I make sure that the pearl is secure, because I'm not going to go through it twice. I'm only going to go through it one time. So then what I do is I like to secure it down. So I go from the top down and then back up. Don't pull it tight. Just make sure you got a loop there. Don't pull it tight. And then put your pearl on it and go back down through the same hole that you came up with. See how that works like that? And just kind of snug it down. And what I like to do is go back up and I wrap the pearl a couple of times and then go back down. That way it really secures it in there. And go into the back and do your loop to tie off the end. I do it a couple of times so that it's nice and secure. And then go back up into the body a little bit. You see I did a little bit. I go up into the body a little bit, and then I tie it up, cut it off. Okay, now you have completed your headband. Stay tuned for the next video to show you how to make these lovely gloves to go with it. Make it now with Linda Lang. You can do it. See you next time.